A constitution is not a book that gathers dust. It is not a legal ornament. It is not a symbolic document read once and forgotten. A constitution is the architecture of power. It defines who may rule, how they may rule, and, most importantly, how far they may go. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of the world, future leaders, thinkers, and observers of power, welcome. Before there were constitutions, there was authority. Kings ruled by divine claim, empires ruled by force, tribes ruled by tradition. Power existed, but it was unwritten. A constitution is humanity's attempt to bind power with rules. It is the moment a society says, power shall exist, but it shall not be arbitrary. At its simplest, a constitution answers four essential questions. Who governs? How are they chosen? What are their powers? And what are their limits? Every constitution, regardless of country, exists to answer these questions. The philosopher Montesquieu warned us, power ought to check power. This single idea is the soul of constitutionalism. Without limits, power expands. Without rules, authority corrupts. Without a constitution, the state becomes personal. A constitution does not create morality, it creates structure. It assumes leaders may fail. It assumes ambition may grow. It assumes humans are imperfect. And so it prepares restraints. This is why constitutions separate powers. Legislative, to make the law. Executive, to enforce it. Judicial, to interpret it, not because institutions distrust each other, but because they understand human nature. You may hear the phrase, the Constitution guarantees rights. But this is only half the truth. Rights exist before constitutions. Constitutions exist to protect them. Freedom of speech, freedom of belief, freedom from arbitrary arrest. These are not gifts from the state. They are boundaries imposed upon the state. A constitution does not make a country free. It makes tyranny harder. Some constitutions are written, some are unwritten, some are rigid, some are flexible, but all serve the same function: to transform power from personal will into institutional responsibility. When a constitution is respected, politics becomes predictable. When it is ignored, politics becomes dangerous. History teaches this relentlessly. The collapse of constitutions does not begin with tanks. It begins with exceptions, with emergencies, with the belief that rules are inconvenient, until power forgets restraint. As James Madison once said, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. Constitutions exist because men are not angels. Understanding a constitution is not a legal exercise. It is a civic responsibility. Because once citizens stop understanding limits of power, power stops respecting limits entirely. In this series, we will return to the Constitution again and again, not as a legal code, not as ideology, but as a living framework that shapes everyday political life. Because to understand politics, you must first understand its foundation. A constitution is not perfect, but without it, power has no memory, and citizens have no shield.